This is a nursing home.
Livia Soprano is one of the most terrifying characters in television history, and she never once pulled a trigger. She's frail. She's elderly. She lives in a retirement community.
I heard your radio debut on those tapes the feds made at Green Grove.
And yet, by the end of season 1, she has successfully manipulated the acting boss of the DeMeo crime family into ordering a hit on her own son. So the question that haunts every rewatch: why?
My father.
Why would a mother want her child dead? Especially the one child who is still looking after her? The answer isn't simple, but it reveals everything The Sopranos has to say about family, power, and the damage people do to the ones closest to them. To understand Livia's motive, you have to understand what she lost. For decades, Livia Soprano occupied a unique position.
Oh, he was a saint.
Yeah, I know he was.
She was the wife of Johnny Boy Soprano, a feared figure in the North Jersey mob. And while Johnny handled business on the street, Livia wielded enormous influence behind the scenes. She shaped decisions. She managed relationships. She controlled the emotional temperature of her household through sheer force of personality. That era is over. Johnny's dead. Her children have grown up and moved on.
Not a nursing home. How many times do I gotta say this? It's a retirement community.
And now her son Tony, the new power in the family, is making decisions for her. He's hired a nurse she doesn't want. He's talking about selling the house.
This is a nursing home.
And then comes the final indignity. He moves her into Green Grove. Now, Green Grove is, by all accounts, a high-end retirement community. It's comfortable. It's well-staffed. Tony is paying top dollar.
You've come back for help.
But none of that matters to Livia, because the issue was never about comfort. It was about what the move represented. Here's the key insight, and it's one Dr. Melfi tries, somewhat clumsily, to get Tony to see.
Daughters are better at taking care of their mothers than sons.
Livia didn't want money. She didn't want luxury. She wanted control. Her entire identity was built around being indispensable, the gravitational center of her family. Every guilt trip, every dramatic outburst, every whispered manipulation was designed to keep people orbiting around her. When Tony put her in Green Grove, he didn't just change her address.
You're looking at the crackers Coglione for putting you in here.
A psychiatrist.
He proved, in the most concrete way possible, that she no longer mattered, that he could make decisions about her life without her consent, that she was, in her mind, disposable. And for someone like Livia, that realization is worse than death.
And if you wanted to, you could be happy here. But you're just pissing it all down the drain.
What's fascinating is that the show later reveals she actually liked Green Grove. She appreciated the clean towels. She settled in, but she would never tell Tony that. Because admitting she was fine there would mean conceding he was right. And conceding he was right would mean surrendering the one currency she had left, the power to make him feel guilty. This is the pattern with Livia.
Leave some out for the lunatics.
Tony brings her favorite baked goods. Too sweet, she says. He goes to leave with them and suddenly, well, you may as well leave some for the lunatics.
You won't even accept food from your own mother.
It's not about the pastries. It's about making sure Tony never feels like he's done enough. But the nursing home wasn't the only threat. There was another one, arguably even more dangerous to Livia.
A psychiatrist.
Tony was seeing a psychiatrist. Now, on the surface, Livia treats this with contempt. Psychiatry and cunnilingus, she scoffs, lumping it in with everything she finds weak and self-indulgent about the modern world. But underneath that dismissal is something much closer to fear, because if Tony stays in therapy long enough, he might start to see her clearly. He might recognize the guilt trips for what they are. He might understand that the woman he spent his entire life trying to please is someone who, as Melfi eventually tells him, has the characteristics of a personality disorder.
I say what your mother has at the very least is what we call borderline personality disorder.
Someone who may be fundamentally incapable of genuine love. And if Tony sees that, if he stops seeking her approval, then she truly has nothing.
I mean, I'm the boss, for Christ's sake. If I don't act...
So when Livia begins whispering in Junior's ear, she doesn't frame it as a personal vendetta. She frames it as a security concern. Who knows what he's telling that psychiatrist, she says.
Who? The psychiatrist.
Once again, Mr. Bob Dylan.
What if it ends up in court? She takes her private terror, the fear of being known, and weaponizes it into something the mob world takes very seriously: the threat of exposure. It's masterful manipulation, and it's terrifying. Dr. Melfi diagnoses Livia with what she calls borderline personality disorder. Though many viewers and analysts have argued her presentation aligns more closely with narcissistic personality disorder, or perhaps a combination of both. Whatever the clinical label, the behavioral pattern is unmistakable. Livia cannot experience joy on her own terms.
These people's internal phobias are the only things that exist to them.
She derives satisfaction, if you can call it that, from controlling others, from seeing them struggle, from being the center of a storm she created. There's a deeply revealing detail the show gives us after Livia's death. When Tony and Janice go through her belongings, they find that she kept almost nothing from Janice or Barbara's childhoods, but she kept boxes of Tony's things. Not because she loved him in any recognizable way, but because Tony was her project, her mirror, the child who stayed, who tried hardest to win her approval, and who therefore gave her the most power. David Chase based Livia on his own mother. He once called the resemblance loose, but later admitted that his family members were stunned by how precisely Nancy Marchand captured her. That biographical grounding is part of what makes Livia feel so real and so devastating. She's not a cartoon villain. She's a recognizable human pattern amplified to its logical extreme. And for someone wired this way, a son putting you in a home and then talking about you to a therapist isn't just an inconvenience. It's an existential crisis. So how does she actually get it done? She turns to Junior, and Junior is the perfect tool.
Well, if his father was still alive, you can bet your boots he'd show more decency and respect for his mother.
He already resents Tony for undermining his authority. He's insecure about his position, and he's susceptible to flattery from a woman of Livia's generation. Livia doesn't tell Junior to kill Tony. She never says the words.
They're slapping me in the face, and they're hiding behind Tony.
She simply plants the seeds, feeds his paranoia, validates his grievances, and drops strategic pieces of information. She tells him about Tony's captains meeting behind his back. She raises concerns about the psychiatrist.
Something may have to be done, Livia.
She lets Junior arrive at the conclusion himself. And if the hit succeeds, she gets everything. Junior becomes boss. And Junior is someone she can manage. She becomes the grieving mother, the center of attention, the object of sympathy. She regains control of her world.
I'm a babbling idiot.
If it fails, she was just a confused old woman. She didn't know what she was doing. I don't know what you're talking about, she tells Tony later. I'm a babbling idiot. It's a play with no losing hand. And that's what makes Livia Soprano one of the most chilling characters ever written. The genius of The Sopranos is that it never reduces Livia to a single motive.
Don't start with that nursing home business again.
She's furious about Greengrove. She's terrified of therapy. She craves control. She's incapable of love in any conventional sense. And she spent a lifetime perfecting the art of destroying people while maintaining plausible deniability.
Ma!
What you got out? Only time you act like a grandmother around.
Why did Livia want Tony dead? Because he dared to stop playing her game. And for Livia, that was the one unforgivable sin. If this breakdown helped you see the show differently, drop your take in the comments. I want to hear what you think Livia's real motive was. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We're going deep on every layer of this show.